Today we have with us Professor GVR Prasad, a paleontologist. How would you describe your life as a paleontologist?
As a paleontologist, you need to spend a lot of time in the field.
Right. For the field work, the daily allowance that he gets was rupee 1.
They want to put his son into engineering course, but he wants to become a paleontologist.
Great.
Calling and asking, what is this subject? We don't know about this. But my son, my daughter, they are very passionate about this subject.
A recent discovery in an egg within an egg shell that you have discovered.
It's a abnormal egg in that we have a layer of eggshell and inside another layer. So there are two layers of eggshell, and in between these two layers there is a gap. This kind of pathology is found only in birds. It was not reported in dinosaurs. So normally the bones do not get preserved as fossils. Mostly the teeth.
Okay.
Because the teeth have the enamel, always get preserved as fossils.
So, has there been any update on the National Repository project? How can a common public can participate in such activities or help the geology community to grow further?
Major progress that I see is at the moment is that research fellowships actually.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 19th episode of PodChat. Today we have with us Professor GVR Prasad, a paleontologist from the Department of Geology at the University of Delhi. He has been a student of our past guest, Professor Ashok Sani. Professor Prasad is well known for his work on the Mesozoic vertebrate groups of India. He is credited with the discovery of the first Cretaceous mammal from India. He has been awarded with prestigious awards and grants like the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, J.C. Bose National Fellowship, Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Fellowship, and lot more. He is an elected fellow at the Indian Academy of Sciences, Indian National Science Academy, National Academy of Sciences, as well as the World Academy of Sciences. Welcome to the show, Professor Prasad.
Thank you.
So, how would you describe your life as a paleontologist? Like, what is your typical day? How is it like?
Yeah, it has been a very exciting journey. When I started MSc, I never thought I would go to paleontology.
Okay.
But initially I was planning to do PhD in sedimentology, in the soft rocks. But somehow I came into contact with students of Professor Sahani at Chandigarh when I went there to join my PhD program. Then I got into it, and then there is no looking back.
Right.
Yeah.
So how is your usual day as a paleontologist, and how it evolved, like from your PhD, what was your life usually, and then professor and so on?
Yeah, it always has been very hectic. From the very early morning, we used to have the students, PhD students, and we always we meet in the morning and discuss about the what is the program for today, and also we look at the what are the projects that are going. So it has always been hectic because I have teaching also.
Right.
So I have to teach 3 courses here in the Department of Geology. And in addition to that, the research work, it keeps you busy all the time.
Right.
Because we spend a lot of time in the field. So as a paleontologist, you need to spend a lot of time in the field.
Right.
So we go to the field for at least a month, or if time permits, even more. So I used to do in the early stages. I used to do a lot of field work, like 2 months field work in a year.
Okay.
But now it has come down because of the time constraints. So that takes a lot of time. The field work actually takes a lot of time, and that is the most exciting thing actually. So that is how we find the fossils in the field. So that thing actually slowly is the time is cutting down. So we are spending little time because of the time constraints.
So I was talking to a student. He's doing his masters at Punjab University, Chandigarh, and he said that the daily for the field work, the daily allowance that he gets was rupee 1. So.
When was it?
Just like
is it
yeah, recent, just kind of a month back, he was visiting Gujarat for a project, and then he said that his daily allowance is rupee 1.
I don't know. I don't know the conditions now, we have students who get like those fellows who are Prasad Mukherjee
Okay.
fellows. They get about I think some 20,000 or more, even more, as a contingency for their research work. But there are problems in certain universities that do not allow you to do field work because the amount that is sanctioned is a contingency grant. So they say that contingency grant is not for field work. So it is only
Okay.
for consumables and other stationary other things. So that way, some of the geology students are disadvantaged. They are not able to use the entire research grant properly because geology is a field-based subject. So
Right.
you need to do a lot of field work.
Right. So what are the other, like in paleontology, I understand that one has to go for and like find out fossils and so on. But what are the other field works in geology that happen?
In geology.
Yeah.
In geology, of course, we have different branches. We have branches which deal with the structure of the earth.
Okay.
So what we can see on the surface. So those structures they study. So those are people known as structural geologists. And then we have people who work on the morphology of the surface features. So these are the geomorphologists. And also we have sedimentologists who look at the soft rocks. And also there are people who work on the igneous rocks, the magmatic rocks, the rocks produced by the magmas. And so how they metamorphose. So there are people who work on those things. There are people who work on the chemistry of the rocks. So there are different kinds of people, and their methodologies are different. So if you compare all of these branches,
Right.
so they have different methods to collect the samples and to do the analysis and other things. And paleontology is basically a subject where we collect essentially fossils. Of course, rocks also for
Right.
studying the thin sections, but mostly we collect the fossils, and also we collect the samples to dissolve the sediments to get the fossils in the lab under the microscope.
Got
So the techniques that we use in different branches are different. So that depends on which branch you're working.
Right. So you got this fellowship at University of Chicago. So have you been already? You have completed the 6 months over there.
Yeah, I came back in March.
Okay.
I went there in September
Okay.
last this year, 21 actually,
Okay.
and came back in March 22.
Great.
So I finished it.
So how was your time there, and what changes
It was good in the sense that I could use some of the latest equipment in the field. Like for example, we use the computer tomography for getting the 3D
Right.
views of the fossils.
Yeah.
So this I could use extensively for all. In fact, I went there to work basically on Jurassic mammals.
Okay.
But I got the Jurassic mammals scanned there, and also in addition to that, other fossils which I have with me from Cretaceous and other periods, that also I took there, and I could get all those things done. But the only thing is that there was not much interaction between people because of the COVID. So there were restrictions for meetings and other things,
Right.
and also only limited people are allowed to go to the lab. So in a week period, so that's why there are limited exchanges. But otherwise, it was very very nice, very fruitful visit.
So what did you get involved in any field work over there in US?
I did because I was supposed to go to the field in the west,
Okay.
The Rockies, but because of the onset of the winter, I could not go there because it's very cold.
Okay.
So immediately when I went there in September, I went there around 10th September. But somebody proposed me to come and join him in the field in set 17. But it's very difficult to. I was just settling and to get a home and all those things. So it's very difficult to go there. So, but otherwise, I could use this visit to go to different museums. For example, the American Museum of Natural History in New York, and then I went to Sam Noble Natural History Museum in Oklahoma University, and then Western Science Center in California, and also I went to the Los Angeles County Museum, and also the famous La Brea tar pits, Banco La Brea tar pits. So I could see the tar oozing out and a lot of fossils in it, Pleistocene fossils. I could see those things.
So, how would you compare the atmosphere, or especially how the geology field or the subject has matured or evolved in India as compared to Chicago or in US in general?
We are in fact far behind them in many aspects, because the first thing is we don't have that much technology.
Right.
We don't have the required equipments, and also the way of doing research is quite different what we other things. So there are a lot of differences between what the kind of research they do and kind of research we are doing.
Right.
So it's very difficult to compare the research we are doing here with them.
Okay.
So of course there are some spots here and there where they are doing excellently, but in general it's not comparable.
Right. So, since we last interacted like almost over an year back, and so has there been any update or progress between how students perceive the subject, or are there more enrollments in this department, or more funding has been backed by the government in this field?
Yeah, this was a period of COVID, and you know that everything was shut down, and for the last 2 years there were no offline classes. All the classes were online.
Right.
So there was little interaction between students and teachers, and so I don't think there is any great improvement in the last 1 year or so because of these conditions. Maybe now we are going to have these offline classes from this semester. Most probably we'll have more interactions with students, and then. But I often get phone calls from parents.
Okay.
So some parents. Some of them, the young children, like one lady recently called from Madras and Chennai, and she said that they want to put his son into engineering course, but he's reluctant. He's not willing to go to engineering, but he wants to become a paleontologist.
Great.
So she wanted me to tell her what kind of opportunities are there in paleontology, and what should he do if he wants to pursue MSc or PhD in paleontology, where he should go. So, and I think probably she also contacted Professor Sani later. So in this regard, so I had a talk with him and he told me that.
Okay.
And this happens quite often.
Okay.
In recent years, in the last 1 year, I got at least 4 or 5 calls like that.
Great.
So people from this, one lady from Assam and one from Orissa, from remote places, people are calling and asking, what is this subject? We don't know about this, but my son, my daughter, they are very passionate about this subject. What you suggest? So I saw this in the last 5 years or so. Before that, I have not heard these things.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
At least for paleontology. Yeah.
Right. So, can you tell us more about your recent discovery in an egg within an egg shell that you have discovered?
Yeah, actually, this is a part of my PhD student's work, Asha Diman, who was the first author of the paper. So we actually started working in this area around 2017.
Okay.
And we mapped the entire area, like Bagh, and also there is one place called Kukshi. These are the two areas in Dhar district, very close to Manawar town. So it's west of Indore. These places are to the west of Indore, about 120 kilometers or so. So here we were looking for, basically earlier before we started this work, people reported some eggshell, dinosaur eggshells, and 1 or 2 eggs like that. But there were news reports that some eggs were found by some amateur collectors, and also some illegal marketing of these eggs is taking place in this area. So then we went there in 2017. In fact, I started working there in 2014, and we were working on the marine Cretaceous rocks. We have a thick sequence of marine beds, so which yield a lot of invertebrate fossils like ammonites, gastropods, mollusks, and also echinoids and all those things. So this is mainly because we had a marine incursion in the around 90, 100 million years ago from the western side of the country and along the Narbada Valley, and that deposited marine sediments here. So that, along with that, marine animals also got preserved. So I was working on those things initially. Essentially, some shark remains were found at the top of the sequence. So we published some papers on that, and also later we found some dinosaur teeth and also some lungfish dental plates and so on. So, and then when we were doing field work, then we found these areas, and then we visited some of these localities and did detailed field work, and we found about 92 nesting sites in the entire area. So, and about 256 eggs. So this egg was found very close to a village called Pardia, and in this egg, what we have seen, there is a nest. Within the nest, we have 10 eggs, and this is one of the 10 eggs. And in this, it's a abnormal egg in that we have a layer of eggshell, and inside another layer. So there are two layers of eggshell, and in between these two layers, there is a gap. So this kind of eggshells are found normally in birds. Birds, this is known as the abnormality or the pathology is known as ovum in ovo. So this kind of pathology is found only in birds. It was not reported in dinosaurs or any other reptiles like crocodiles, turtles, or squamates, lizards, and rhynchocephalians. In none of these reptiles we find this kind of pathology. So this is the first time that we are finding this kind of pathology in dinosaurs, and this pathology is interpreted as a kind of pathology which results because when the bird releases the egg, so it passes through, once the ovary is formed, it passes through different areas of the oviduct or the reproductive tract. One is the infundibulum, and then we have magnum, where the albumen is the white, egg white, forms there, and then it comes to isthmus, is the place where the shell membrane, outer membrane is formed, and then it comes to the uterus. So where the shell, outer calcitic shell, thick, the hard shell is formed. So in this way it forms, and then what happens if the animal is under stress due to any environmental conditions or any internal body conditions. So if it is under stress, then what happens? The egg will be sent back to the position where it started, that is where the ovary was formed. So again, what happens? The ovulation takes place, and so we have another ovary. So we have the yolk, and then the albumen, and then the shell membrane, and the shell layer is formed. In this way, a second egg forms around the old egg. So this is known as the ovum in ovo, and this is known only in birds. It's not known in reptiles. So in dinosaurs, we never had this kind of pathology. So this was the first time that we found this pathology in dinosaurs, and before that we believed that the dinosaurs had a reproductive biology very similar to that of reptiles. Because they have the similar kind of laying of eggs. They lay all the eggs simultaneously in a nest, like the crocodiles and turtles and dinosaurs. So, but with this, what we came to the conclusion is that probably dinosaurs were also following the similar kind of reproductive function. So they also, in birds, once they normally lay one egg at a time, whereas in reptiles they lay the entire clutch together. So that is the difference between the two. So what we suggested in the paper is that probably dinosaurs had similar reproductive biology as the birds, and they laid the eggs in the same manner as the birds. So maybe one by one. So it is, of course, it's a very you can say it's a working hypothesis at the moment.
Right.
So we need to have more data
Right.
to support this hypothesis.
So has there been any case even like in bird where there are 3 layers maybe?
So far, no such egg has been reported. We have several such reports of a double egg, like in chicken, it has been found quite often.
Okay.
So this happens only when the animal is under great stress. Suppose if there is a environmental stress, or you can say that there is a overcrowding of the area, and so there is a competition for space and food resources,
Right.
and also if there is a event like a flood or a drought, or maybe something like a volcanic activity or a change in the temperature. So these are the factors, and also sometimes it is also individual specific. So an individual might have undergone some stress because let us say there is a
Predator or
a predator lurking in the background. And so the animal gets panicked, and in such cases also this can happen. So these are the conditions under which the ovum in ovo egg is formed.
Right. And I think that nowadays more evidence is being formed in respect to the dinosaurs are more related to birds, because recently I was also studying that there are feathers. The case of feathers has also been come up. That
this is long known because we have the more derived or the advanced carnivorous dinosaurs, which have the similar pattern of nesting. So they have also the nest along which they have the mounds. They make a kind of wall around the nest, like birds make.
too.
And also there is an evidence in the Oviraptor, probably heard about it. Oviraptor dinosaur. So it's a carnivorous dinosaur. A fossil Oviraptor nest was found in Mongolia, in which the skeleton was sitting on the top of the nest. So it was actually incubating like the birds. So it died in that position.
Okay.
So this is a very interesting fossil, and so this is another evidence. And also, if you look at the eggshell in a ultrastructure, you will find birds have 3 layers of eggshell.
Okay.
So within the calcitic layer shell, you have 3 layers. So in these advanced carnivorous dinosaurs, they have also similar kind of layering.
Okay.
So that is well established that these derived dinosaurs are closely related to birds. And also you have recent examples, as you mentioned. There are many dinosaurs which have been reported from China and also even in USA with feathers.
Right.
So these dinosaurs had evolved before the birds. Probably they were not using it for flying, but as a kind of warming the body. They are using these feathers. So this has been gone very long ago, but now recently also there is a paper, probably it was in Nature. So there is a paper in which they have shown that the bone histology, they have studied the bone histology, and they found that the bone histology indicates that even some of the sauropod dinosaurs were very closely related to the birds in their functional morphology. So that was a recent paper, maybe last 15 days back or so. Came in Nature.
Okay.
So now again this is another evidence that we have that it shows that maybe they are related to birds. In fact, it is expected because we have 2 groups of reptiles, non-archosaurian, non-archosaurian reptiles. Archosaurian reptiles includes crocodiles, and then we have the flying reptiles like the pterosaurs, which are extinct, and then we have dinosaurs and birds. So we expected that these animals are closely related to each other phylogenetically. So since dinosaurs and birds, we have some evidence of their birds having been derived from the dinosaurs. So they should be closer to birds.
Right. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so regarding your discovery of first Cretaceous mammal, so I was reading the paper and the figures were given of molars. So was there that only the dental elements?
This is the problem with mammals, because mammals are very small animals at the time. In the Mesozoic time, particularly in the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous, they're very small, of the size of a rat, house rat.
Okay.
And only one mammal, which is known from China, from the early Cretaceous, 120 million year old rocks, it is about 1 meter in length.
Okay.
Only one animal. But rest of them are very small, and they have very fragile skeletons. The bones are very fragile. So normally the bones do not get preserved as fossils. Mostly the teeth, because the teeth have the enamel, so they always get preserved as fossils. They have a higher chance of being preserved as fossils. So the skeletons are relatively rare, but we have some skeletons from Mongolia, and recent years from China. We have the Johol biota, which is famous for the what is known as Lazarstad deposit, or the exceptional preservations. So where we find complete skeletons. But those are the only places where we find complete skeletons. So these are in most of the other places, these are known only by teeth. So we have only teeth for these animals, and teeth are very diagnostic for the mammals, early mammals. You can use them and differentiate even at species level. You can differentiate them. Yeah.
So has any name been given to that particular mammal? Or?
Yeah, this is named as Deccanolostis indicus, because Deccan is named after the Deccan traps where it was found. So, or you can say Deccan is also a Sanskrit word which indicates south. So it's found on the southern margin of the Deccan traps, Deccan volcanic province, and is near to Hyderabad, about 100 kilometers west of Hyderabad, where it is found, the locality.
Right.
And later, of course, we have found mammalian, Cretaceous mammals from other localities also, in like a place called Dindori in Madhya Pradesh. So where we have found mammals, and also some colleagues have found in Karnataka also. So now there are at least four localities where mammals are found in the Cretaceous.
Got it. Yeah. So as a geologist, how do you see climate change, and how is it like affecting? Because if we take the time periods in existence, because how the Earth changed in before, it was used to be in million years, but now it has been just a couple of centuries. So how do you see that, and how the subject is going to have a particular impact due to climate change, or vice versa?
Yeah, in fact, we have, of course, we all know that it's happening. We can see that now the temperatures. You can see it. I don't know where you are, but I'm in Delhi, so it's too hot to bear. It is not like this before. So, of course, there is a climate change happening, but this happened even in the past. So, if you look at the geological time and see the geological events through different time periods, you'll find that there are times where we have the greenhouse conditions, there are times we have the icehouse conditions. So several times it happened, and in fact some of the mass extinctions, we have 5 mass extinctions during the last 540 million years. So some of these mass extinctions might have been actually caused by the change in the climate. So because there were also extreme temperatures during this period, so hot climatic conditions. So it is quite possible all these mass extinctions have been affected by this. So, and the biota are capable of recovering from such mass extinctions and then evolve into new life forms. So this, of course, it's affects as far as its impact on geology is concerned. Now, a lot of people, actually, we have not seen so many people working on climate change in the whether it is modern climate or the past climate, the paleoclimate. So there are lots of people now have shifted to this field. So there and also we get a lot of funding in this area because of the climate change. So we can see many people opting in geology also, many students opting for this field, and of course they are doing very good work in this area. So whether it is working on glaciers or working in paleo records of the climate, so they're doing excellent work. So I think it's a field where they have a lot of scope for the geologists to do.
Great. All right. So, has there been any update on the National Repository project? Any timelines?
Yeah, the COVID has affected everything, whether it is teaching, research, because in the last 2 years we could not go visit any, do any field work. So likewise, the teaching, there was no offline teaching. So now this thing, the museum, also the progress has been affected because of this. So nothing happened in the last 2 years. So I don't know, and also that now we had a very good support from the principal scientific advisor earlier. So Professor Vijayaraghavan, right? He supported us very well, but I don't know how it will be supported now because we have a new scientific advisor. So we have to meet him and see what we can do, how we have to take it forward. So that we have to discuss with him and see what can be done. The only problem that we are facing is the site. Where can we get the land? Right. So we want to have it in a central place like Delhi, so that it has a lot of footfall. So lots of people can visit, and it would be easy for people to access the specimens also. Right. So, but in Delhi, getting even 50 acres of land is not easy. Right. So you have to go outside Delhi. Right. So if once you go outside Delhi, the connectivity will be very low. Yes. So there will be no metro, no buses. So you have to get a taxi and go there. Right. So very few people will prefer to do that. Yeah. So unless you have something like a metro connection, that is essential. So we are looking for these things, and I don't know what will happen. I'm not very sure. Okay. So we are trying hard to get this one because I'm also on the verge of retirement. Right. Next year I'm going to retire. Oh, okay. So I have to find a place where I can put my specimens. Right. So is it kind of, so who are the is this whole geology community pushing forward this idea, or there are some individuals who are at the forefront? Actually, this is a conglomeration of not only geology. We have also biologists. We have also people who are working in biodiversity, and there are people who are working in the monuments. So there are people from different aspects, covering different aspects, from archaeology and also from geological survey, and some science reporters. So we're all involved in this. So young researchers. So how can a common public can participate in such activities or help the geology community to grow further? That is how we can. I mean, if we can take it to the forward to the authorities, if it is possible in any way, to impress upon the authorities that we must have this kind of repository in India, so which is lacking, and if you go to any other country, leaving South Asian countries, if you go to any other countries, even Pakistan has a natural history museum, and we don't have that kind. Of course, we used to have a natural history museum in Delhi, which was burnt a few years back.
Okay.
and now they are planning to build, but it's not the one we planned is actually the one which will have a research activity going
Right.
along with the exhibits
Hmm.
and also collections. So you can have collections, you have repository for the collections, and then we have the exhibits for the public, and then we have the research. So research, only when we have research, the collections get augmented, and then only you can change your exhibits frequently, and you can have programs, new programs
Okay.
frequently. So that will be possible only when you have that kind of museum, and if uh, people can actually impress upon the authorities that this is one of the important thing that we need to preserve the natural heritage in a central place. So then I think it would be great help to all of us.
Right. Got it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that your interest in paleontology came after your masters. When you were shifting to PhD. So what was your plans initially? How, like, what do you used to think that when you will grow up, what you would become as a child?
Actually, initially I was planning to do biology.
Okay.
For doing medicine, but later we had a relative in our village who was a professor in Vikram University, Ujjain.
Okay.
He was a geologist
Okay.
by training. So whenever he used to come to our village in the summer break, so he used to take us, I mean, the young people to. He always used to put us in a constructive work, like building roads and all those things.
Okay.
And also sometimes he used to take us to the nearby quarries to explain how the rocks are formed. So that is how I got interested, and because of him I joined geology.
Okay, got it.
And then, of course, I did geology. Initially, paleontology was because at that time we had no paleontologist in Vikram University. So it was not taught properly. So we had no idea what paleontology is all about. And then only when I came to Chandigarh that some of my research colleagues at that time, the contemporary researchers, they suggested me Professor Prasad is the best person to work with. So as a guide supervisor. So that is how it started.
Got it. And so, what have been some best moments or some not so good moments in life? Maybe it can be career related or general. So if you can share.
Yeah, best moments. Of course, the one when we found the Cretaceous mammal. It was the first thing. It's a very exciting find. So because until then, people used to believe that India had no mammals, Mesozoic mammals. So that was because India was drifting as an island. So it's only after the collision with Asia that mammals came into India. So that was the understanding at that time. But this had changed completely, and also because it also showed that India was not fully isolated. It had some connections with other land masses, so that animals could disperse from one land mass to the other. And another second thing is that when we found the ichthyosaur, a complete skeleton of ichthyosaur of about 5 meters long ichthyosaur in Kutch in the Jurassic deposits. So that was and until then we had no ichthyosaurs from the Jurassic of India.
Okay.
So all the ichthyosaurs were known from Europe, mostly from Europe and South America, and a few from Australia and Gondwana. In fact, very few in the Gondwana supercontinent. So this was very exciting because we had to work for about 15 days, about 10 days actually, continuously, and we worked about 15 students. We worked together from morning 8 o'clock to evening 8 o'clock. So that was really exciting field trip we had. And of course, the last one is also very interesting find. And there are times when we feel very depressed because there are places where we have excellent fossils, but you are not able to go there because the hostility of the villages.
Hmm.
Because there are many places where the tribals, they believe that the people from outside, they come to their place to grab the land. So this happens in places where we have the mining going on. So like if there is in many places like cement quarrying for the limestone for the cement factories is taking place. So there people believe that it's mainly you're going there to grab the land. So maybe we are from the government side. So they don't allow you to go there and study the fossils, but they have excellent fossils which cannot be studied. Like, and also there are places like PG Valley, the Pranhita Godavari Valley, where I found Jurassic mammals. So that place is a place where it's very difficult to work because of the Naxals. So there are if you go to the interior places, there are places where Naxalites have the influence, and they do not allow you sometimes to go there, or they if you take a government vehicle or something like that, it happened sometimes in case of MECL vehicles have been burned down. So those are the places where we find it very difficult to do field work.
Got it. So what are the some problems that you are right now working on, or like some unsolved questions that are yet to be answered?
At the moment, the one actually I went to University of Chicago to look at the mammals. I am working on the Jurassic. They are basically mammals known as haramid mammals. So haramid mammals, these are the multituberculate mammals. Or multituberculars are more similar to modern day rodents in some of their dentition. So they're herbivorous animals. So those animals we found in the Jurassic of India. And so, and if you look at the Gondwana, the farmer Gondwana, for example, Africa, South America, India, Australia, in these continents, we have in the Jurassic period, we have mammals, but these mammals are quite different from what we have in the northern continents like Europe, North America, Asia. They are completely different assemblage. So, but when you take the case of India, we have groups of animals which are known from England. So most of the groups are known from England, and they are not known in Gondwana. So we are looking at this problem, why the Indian subcontinent was part of the Gondwana land in the Jurassic, and but if there is any similarity in the fauna, it should be with the Gondwana.
Right.
Why it has similarity with the Laurasia, the northern continents, so the North America and Europe. Why it is so? So this is the problem we are looking at, and we have already worked on this, and we are looking at various possibilities from dispersals from north to south, and maybe India was a biogeographically restricted province with respect to the Gondwana land, but it is closely related to Laurasia. This is the project right now I'm working.
Great.
And
Interesting.
Yeah.
Got it. So what is your long-term vision? Like, so since you mentioned that you will be retiring next year, but like I'm sure that you would certainly be continue to associate with this subject and with this kind of research. So what is your long?
I have decided to continue my research work. So even if it is to be done with my own money, so I'll continue that. So because I can do it from my home. So only thing is I need literature and some equipment like microscope and other things. So I can actually go to my colleagues and borrow their equipment and do whatever help needed. So So otherwise, I'm planning to continue with my work. Whatever I have something in mind, so to do in the next, at least as long as I'm physically well. So at least in the next 10 years, I want to do certain subjects I want to address, certain problems I want to address. So,
So,
that I have decided. Yeah.
got it. And so, what are some problems in academia that you would think that require improvement, and some changes can be policy changes can be bring to improve?
The major problems that I see is at the moment is that the research fellowships actually.
Okay.
The students, they get research fellowship. The PhD students, they are living away from their home and hiring and renting a house, and they're spending a lot of money on that, and they don't get their fellowship at regular intervals.
Right.
So they do not get the money every month. So in many cases, I have seen here, even as a head of the department, many students used to come to me for talking with the administration to get the money released. So and even today it is happening. So 6 months, sometimes even more than that, 9 months, 12 months, people are not getting fellowship. So how will they survive and how will they do research?
Right.
So unless you have, unless you satisfy your stomach, you cannot work on do research.
True.
So that is one major problem that we are facing at the moment.
And why is this problem? Why is this problem?
This, if you ask the university authorities, they say that it's because of the CSIR, UGC, they're not releasing the money. And if the students go to the CSIR, UGC, they say that it's because of your university. They are not sending the papers in time. So they blame each other. We don't know the exact story, what is happening. And I think both of them are to be blamed. So, and probably they are also facing problems. So they are not getting money on time. So that's why they are not able to release the money. So that could be the reason.
So is it that the people in the policy making or in the bureaucracy are not like at the personal level, they don't give importance to science and research? Is that can be a problem?
I don't know exactly what is happening. Maybe it is probably it is the financial problem.
Okay.
Mostly it's a financial problem, and I think most of the funding agencies, they don't get money in time. And also, even if they get, like for example, in many cases, the projects, you're given the money and around December or so, and you're asked to finish the money by March. So it's a very short period of 3 to 4 months.
Right.
You cannot do everything, buy or purchase things in such a short period. So that is one major issue.
Right. And so did you find similar problem in Chicago when you were visiting, or is this kind of problem not there?
No. I don't think they have this kind of problems. No. Once they fix something, they get on time.
Okay.
So it's not like this. So once you are awarded a fellowship, you're assured that you'll get the money in time.
Great.
As long as you fill all the documents in time.
Right. Yeah. Got it. So what are your favorite quotes that you like to maybe read? Or
James Hutton, he has said that the present is the key to the past.
Nice.
So what he meant is that whatever happening today on the Earth's surface, all the processes, geological processes, or the biological or chemical processes that are happening on the Earth, they happened in the past also.
Right.
So it keep on happening, or it's cyclical, and these things happen at the same rate and same intensity. But it's not true. But they are not happening at the same intensity or same time, but rate. But they're happening at different rates and different intensities. So, but these are happening regularly. So this is one important thing that we are taught during our studies.
Right. And so, what are your usual hobbies? What you do apart from research and teaching and all?
I like to visit some of these national parks
Okay.
where we have the sanctuaries, for example,
Mhm.
and also I love to watch birds. So I do bird watching.
Great.
So those are, yeah.
Great. So, have you been involved into some bird watching competitions or so on?
No, it's just
Uh-huh.
hobby, and
Okay.
I
Okay.
once in a while I go along with friends
Hmm.
to different places to see nearby places in Delhi and other places.
Great. Okay.
So
So.
we did this in
Mhm.
Chicago also.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
So, what would you like to tell to people, to young students? How would you like to encourage them so that they can join the field of geology or paleontology? So, what would you like to say to them?
Yeah, if you want to, if anybody wants to join the field of paleontology, one should keep it in mind that this is the field. I tell all my students, the PhD students, when they come to me for PhD, that this is the field where you may not find jobs easily. So
Hmm.
this is a play. If you're good and exceptional, you'll get a job. Definite, you'll get a job in an academic institution or a research institution, not something like, say, in an industry, unless you're a micropaleontologist, but even that also declining now.
Okay.
Micropaleontologists, they are taken normally by the oil companies.
Okay.
So because they help, micropaleontology helps in finding out the environment in which the oil is formed.
Hmm.
So we can actually, they can help you in finding the oil producing horizons. So that's why they're taken. So that that was a field which was very good 10, 15 years back, but now they're also not taking many micropaleontologists.
Okay.
But paleontologist uh, is, the life is very tough. So you are supposed to do a lot of field work. So you are supposed to visit different terrains, whether it is a terrain in a sedimentary terrain in peninsular India, or you may be required to go to some of the high altitude terrains, like for example Himalayas. Himalayas, of course, the Shivalik foothills is easy to negotiate, but if you go to higher Himalaya,
Hmm.
it's very tough.
Right.
So if you're working in Ladakh or so,
Hmm.
so one has to be very determined, and one has to be very passionate about this subject. Then only you can survive in this field, and one needs to be very patient,
Hmm.
because fossils you don't find every day. So if you go to the field, most of the time you don't find the fossils for, say, 1 week or so. So it's only suddenly you may find a horizon, and then you start finding the fossils. So you should not get disheartened if you don't find any fossils on the first day or second day. So this is very common in paleontology. So one has to be very patient, determined, and persistent. So one has to be, the perseverance is very important in this field. So otherwise it's very difficult to survive. So and one has to be very physically good and able to do some good hard field work. So then only you can progress in this field.
Right. Great.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Prasad. I hope this episode has been like of raised some issues, important issues, and maybe it can reach to policymakers and they can take some steps to improve the situation. And more people and students can join this field. I hope so. And as you said, the situation is improving, so it's good sign.
Yeah, let us see. So
Great.
thank you. Pleasure talking to you.
Hope you loved the episode. Subscribe to our show and see you next Saturday.